Hello, my name is Clarence, and I'll be addressing some of the finer points of wilderness survival. It'd be impossible for me to tell you everything you need to know, but there are several themes that are common with most writings on this subject. These can be summed up simply. First, our mind is our most valuable asset in a survival situation. The second would be hydrate or die, quite simply. And last but not least, be prepared. I'm going to take a few minutes and build on each of these concepts. First things first, your most valuable tool will be your mind. We often forget our species has a natural and innate capacity to survive at all costs. We've been endowed with instincts hardwired for survival and evolutionarily refined. While we're speaking on the mind, I've got to touch on the importance of a positive outlook. In a situation where your survival skills are being tested, a positive yet realistic mindset could be the difference between life and death. Also, a methodical thought process is going to be necessary. It's a good practice to think, conceptualize, visualize, rethink, and act only if the benefits outweigh the risks. Avoid any unnecessary risk while in the wild. If you can go around an obstacle safely and efficiently, do it. Going up and over an obstacle and possibly injuring yourself is not a good idea, especially if you don't have to. The loss of mobility in the wilderness greatly decreases your chances of survival. When forced into a survivalist situation, it's very easy to become disoriented and even panic. But if you plan on making it through, you'll have to clearly think your way through. Next theme would be hydrate or die, quite simply. Our bodies are over 70% water. And while we can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water could be fatal. Without water, many of our body's vital processes are impossible. Lack of water leads to delirium, disorientation, and altered judgment, conditions that are considerably dangerous given the aforementioned importance of clear thinking in this situation. Ideally, it'd be good to have a supply, your own supply of water, a canteen, a camel pack. But should you not, there are a few ways to get water from your surroundings. One method would be the collection of rainwater. Also, morning dew could be a viable source of hydration. This could be consumed directly from foliage, or you could tie any extra clothes around your ankles and legs at the height of most of the vegetation and just walk around. The clothes will soak up a lot of the dew and you can wring out substantial amounts of water when you're finished. Also, natural bodies of water can be viable hydration options, but it's important to remember to only drink moving water. Still water could be stagnant and riddled with microbes and parasites. Water collected from natural bodies must also be filtered for particles and boiled to kill microorganisms. Decontamination tablets are also recommended before consuming naturally collected water. In some locations, especially beaches, it may even be possible to easily dig down to groundwater sources. So that'd be something you want to keep in mind also. But staying hydrated goes beyond drinking water. Physical exertion equates to greater water consumption. So, of course, try to limit movement if water's scarce, especially if you're in a desert environment. Another useful exercise would be to breathe through your nose. Breathing through your mouth releases a lot of valuable moisture. If you're having trouble locating water, it'd also be a good idea to pay attention to animal and insect movement. Ants, birds, and other animals will often lead you to water sources. Last but not least, we must remember to be prepared, both mentally and physically. It's rather important to be in possession of the basic tools and equipment necessary for wilderness survival, and I'm going to list and explain a few items you may want to have in your survival kit. First off, the means to make fire. Very important because hypothermia is the single most cause of outdoor death. This can be anything from a flint rock to a Bic lighter or matches. Some survivalists also like to have a small container of lighter fluid in their packs. It makes fire starting a lot easier, as you can imagine. Fire is also important if you need to boil drinking water or cook food. In addition to this, some basic hand tools will be necessary, especially something that can cut, like a machete, a saw, a hunting knife, or even a Swiss Army knife or multi-tool. This can be useful for building shelter, for creating other tools, and even defense if you need it. You'll also need string, rope, twine, something you can bind things with. This will also be useful for building shelters, tools, and weapons. Flashlights and plenty of batteries would most definitely be an asset. Fishing line and hooks would be advisable and very useful if you run across fishable waters. Also a good idea to pack some trail mix, maybe a couple of cans of food. A pot or a coffee can for boiling water and cooking could be a necessity. And last but not least, the first aid kit can be invaluable in the wild. Be sure to include items that can stop bleeding like bandages, gauze, and tourniquets. Also items that can be useful in restoring mobility like splints, elastic body wraps, ice packs, and even some ibuprofen. A firearm could also serve several purposes in the wild. It could be a very valuable hunting tool or a means of protection from animals and other humans. It is very important if you elect to possess a firearm that you take all necessary steps to ensure safety and get as much training on that weapon as possible. That includes both safety and marksmanship. And for obvious reasons, have plenty of ammo. In addition to this, it's important that you be mentally prepared and equipped with the information you'll need for survival. You can take some first aid training or read up on basic medical procedures, or look into many of the organizations that offer hands-on outdoor survival training. Being prepared mentally is arguably more important than being physically prepared or in possession of the right tools. Again, if you plan on making it through, you'll have to clearly think your way through. In conclusion, I like to impute that the most important asset in a survival situation, or any situation for that matter, is our minds. The ability to conceptualize and refine our thoughts and ideas is a uniquely human trait, and one that's afforded us distinction and dominance as compared to any other species. Our minds being physically composed of as much as 73% water, require hydration to operate. And the first and last step in the process would undoubtedly be preparation. So today, I urge you to prepare.